Ages ago, on a remote island, a kind-hearted king named Killy melted down his crown to make a medallion with a special stone in the middle. His humble gesture turned the medallion into a magical object which could grant wishes to the pure in heart. King Killy used it to grow crops from barren soil, protect his people from storms, and fight off an evil warlord's invasion. That's when Prince Hugo decides to mess up with all of his dad's good work. Taking the medallion, he ends up losing the special stone, and that leaves the whole kingdom unprotected. King Cobra, the evil warlord, takes the opportunity to conquer them and enslave their people. King Killy manages to rescue the medallion and hides it under a rock in the woods right before Cobra gets to him. He refuses to say where the medallion is. Like most evil warlords, Cobra is not very patient. So, that's the end for the good King Killy. The medallion stays hidden for a long time, until a clever boy named Billy comes along. Sneaking into an archaeology digging site, he grabs a tin box with some artifacts inside and gets to work right away. His dad shows up to stop that nonsense. Billy says he can help clean the tools, but his father says he's too young to work with them and tells him to go home. Billy says there is no one home. Dad won't hear any of that and walks him to the gate. On the other side, he sees some mean-looking guys putting up a foreclosure notice. He gets angry and tries to take it down, but they stop him. When they get back into the car, they talk to their boss, Mr. Cobb. He says his family has been looking for the medallion for many generations. Billy seems to be onto something, so he wants the goons to keep an eye on the boy. The creepy two are just delighted at such a task. And what's Billy up to now? Determined not to give his dad a moment of peace, the boy is now paragliding off a huge waterfall with nothing but a leaf. Little Allie is there to watch, but she is not impressed at all. In fact, she is ready to explain why that was very stupid. When he asks her where all that knowledge in physics comes from, she tells him about these amazing things called books. He should try it sometime. Ignoring the insult, Billy shares his frustration with his dad and the digging site. We find out that these two kids are also looking for the lost medallion. Little do they know that Mr. Cobb's goons are eavesdropping behind the bushes. Billy takes Allie to the Nika village orphanage where she lives. She gives him an antiquarian journal she had found at a used bookstore. It has all kinds of stuff about the island, and it could be useful to their quest. Then she comes inside quietly. The other kids in there don't seem to be too fond of her. Billy gets home, and his dad is sitting on the front porch with a miserable face. Because of his huge debt to Mr. Cobb, the digging site has been taken from him, along with many other assets. He says they must give up now. Their family has now lost everything in search of a mystical medallion that might not even exist. Billy is furious to hear that and invokes his late mother's hypothetical opinion about the current matter. His dad says everything that's ever been dear to him is buried in the ground, completely ignoring that Billy himself is obviously not. Looking at a small pebble, the boy remembers when his mother gave it to him. She said there is something very special about it. It does look like trash, but Billy is inclined to believe his mom. Right outside the house, those two guys are overtly spying on the family. When Billy hears a strange noise in the house and a shadow approaches the doorway, he grabs something heavy and swings it at the intruder. Luckily, he misses Allie's head. She came to tell him that she is about to run away and find her mother. He tries to talk her out of this dangerous idea. To cheer her up, he says they can read that old journal together. They find out the journal was written by a woman named Moya. She describes an earthquake that happened a long time ago and displaced one of the island's main rivers. That means Billy's dad has been searching for the medallion on the wrong side of the river all along. In the morning, the two friends walk through that particular area in the woods with a home-built metal detector. When it starts beeping like crazy, they get very excited, but it turns out it's just a dirty spoon. From Billy's annoyance, we can see this is not the first time it's happened. He tosses it angrily, and Allie says they'll probably find that one again soon. But of course, that's not their only problem. When they hear Mr. Cobb's people coming with similar equipment, the two kids hide fast. The team leader is not very secretive about what they're doing. He shouts at the men to find that medallion or else. As the crew moves across the woods, the kids start hopping from behind one tree to another. And then the device begins to beep like never before. They start digging and find a piece of cloth with King Killy's emblem on it. That's gotta be it. And it actually is. Billy is over the moon to realize he has finally found the long-lost medallion. He should have celebrated that quietly, though. Cobb's men pop up right behind them, eager to take it from them. The kids make it to the bike and the chase begins. They manage to shake them off while getting a few tents destroyed. Arriving at Billy's house, they are both excited to see his dad's face. Then, Allie notices something strange going on in Billy's pants. But don't worry, it's just that pebble glowing in his pocket before it floats in the air and then shoots right into the medallion. Now the kids are even more excited, and Allie says he should put it on to surprise his dad. Their joy turns into concern as soon as they open the door. Billy's dad is tied up, and that insufferable goon is sitting next to him, holding a knife. Everyone is amazed at the powerful medallion around the boy's neck, and he refuses to give it to the thugs. One of them says the boy's about to wish he had obeyed, and Billy says he wishes this whole mess had never happened. The two kids are immediately transported not just somewhere else, but also to a different point back in time. Allie is terrified by the implications, and Billy tries to calm her down. But right when he's asking what could go wrong, a native boy comes to poke them. They're taken to the village, and Billy says this is the community his dad has been studying for years. Allie is not amused and urges him to wish them back to the present. Before he can argue with her, Prince Hugo comes along asking who they are and what they want here. And then one of the elders sees the medallion and rejoices. It has finally been returned by the new king. Hugo doesn't like that kind of talk and reminds everyone he is the king. Allie starts to apologize. They really need to get back. But now Billy is too comfortable with a crown he's not even wearing yet. Next thing you know, they're attending a feast in Billy's honor. Hugo is perched behind the throne whispering threats into his ear, while Allie is trying to hide her disgust at their food. A beautiful young woman comes to thank Billy, and Hugo reminds her not to speak directly to the guests. Her name is Moya, and she is the author of that journal that had led them to the medallion. Unfortunately, it seems that there are eavesdropping thugs in this reality too. News about the miraculously returned medallion soon gets to King Cobra's ears. He says that the stranger can't be the new king because he is the true king. When one of his soldiers dare to disagree, Cobra makes an example out of him. In the morning, Allie is not that grumpy anymore, especially when around Hugo. Sadly, no one else in the village is sharing giggles right now. Cobra's army has initiated the invasion. Hugo tells Billy that he's the son of King Killy and the medallion belongs to him. While the two boys fight about it, Cobra seizes Allie and demands the medallion. Hugo tries to use the medallion to banish Cobra, but nothing really happens. Billy has no choice but to trade the precious object for his dear friend. As soon as Cobra takes the medallion, all the kids jump off the cliff, and just as they hit the water, Cobra wishes them dead. And then he finds two guys to bring him the bodies. But wait a minute, don't they remind you of anyone? These poor kids will never get rid of these clowns. Meanwhile, Allie is delighted to conclude she is still alive. The kids start to plan a strategy to get the medallion back. It involves going to Cobra Island, which is heavily guarded by the warlord's army. And since they are just 4 kids, it gets pretty obvious that they'll need help. The wisest person on the island is Faliaka, a man who lives in a secret place away from the village. Not seen since King Killy's death, Faliaka is believed to be dead. But Billy knows from his father's digging that it's not true. Still fueled by the competition, Hugo and Billy race to the top of a rock wall that leads to the man's hiding place. Allie and Unwi are left behind, but they get bored and end up finding an easier path to the same spot. The secret hut is not very well hidden at all. Billy knocks on the door, and a strange voice tells him to come in. Falika is a strange man, and it's a bit difficult to communicate with him. He already knows what they need but refuses to put them in danger. Billy says they'll defy Cobra with or without his help. The boy's complete disregard for his own safety seems to amuse the old man, and he changes his mind. He agrees to guide them through their rebellion against King Cobra and starts by revealing the key element to do that: pineapples. Yeah, I said he was weird. Each kid is given one pineapple and something to do with it. Ali has to blow it up. Anui must make half of it taste really bad, and Huko has to dice it into 100 equally sized pieces. As for Billy, he needs to get a specific pineapple from the top of a very tall tree. Once they're done, Huko asks what he's supposed to do now. Falika tells him to serve the 100 pieces of fruit to his friends. The prince starts to lose his cool and says he is the one who should be served. Not to mention that these idiots are not his friends. The wise elder shuts him up by quoting his father. King Kili once said the true king is the one who's not too proud to serve. That little fruit activity is then interrupted by some Cobra soldiers. Falika tells the kids they must get to the boats. Those two familiar trackers have already spotted the fugitives now, so they need a way to get past them. Billy gives them some instructions, and for once, Huko just does what he's told. His plan works. Before the Cobras can get to them, Falika and the kids zipline to the other side. The old man is the one enjoying it the most. On their way to the boats, Ali gets fed up with Huko's arrogance. He keeps behaving as if he were better than everyone else. She tells him this is because, deep down, he fears the opposite. At King Cobra's cozy cave, he's just received the news about the children being very much alive. Upset at the possibility that the medallion isn't working, he wishes the entire other island to be destroyed by fire raining from the sky. Absolutely nothing happens. The royal advisor is brought in, and he blames it on the moon. Cobra doesn't really buy that, so the poor man starts to change his story. Obviously afraid of the king's reaction to the truth, he keeps coming up with several stupid explanations. Cobra promises to do him no harm if he cuts the crap. The advisor finally mentions that little detail about a kind heart and how it doesn't really apply to people who are commonly described as an evil warlord. That hurts Cobra's feelings. He decides to get a new advisor then. Getting to the beach, Huko is alarmed to see Cobra's warriors there. Falika tells him to focus on their boats. Billy stabs a hole through the bottom of each boat except for one. His friends hop into the last boat and set off, paddling frantically while their enemies sink. Cobra's men are left on the beach, pointing fingers and blaming each other for the fiasco. By the next morning, our heroes have reached Cobra Island. Falika can't keep up with the boy's fast pace toward the cave, so Ali stays behind to keep him company. She tells him about her past and how her mom used to say she was nothing but an accident before eventually dumping her at the orphanage. Falika says she is no accident in God's eyes. Way ahead of them, the boys find themselves surrounded by Cobras. Ali despairs to find Billy's stuff a while later, but Falika tells her not to lose hope. It's the moment to find her inner tiger now. The boys are being carried in a cage, and Billy tells Huko that this is how it feels to bow. When their captors stop to rest for a moment, they hear Ali's voice calling, "Hey, you guys. Is she crazy?" No, but Falika might be. He starts to imitate a chicken to get everyone's attention. As the guards run after him, Ali opens the cage and the boys are free. Falika takes advantage of his misleading old man appearance to make the guards get close enough to get knocked out. Unfortunately, one of the Cobras gets away. He shoots an arrow aimed at Billy, but Falika jumps in front of the boy and gets hit. Billy asks why he did that, and he says once a great king did the same for him. Sadly, Falika doesn't make it. Now the kids are on their own and headed to King Cobra's lair. He's having a huge party tonight. In his own honor, of course. Everyone gets so wasted that even before the kids arrive, they've all passed out. Billy can see the medallion resting on the chest of his enemy. In a risky move, he asks Huko to lower him there and tries to snatch it while Cobra sleeps. But his eyes pop open as soon as the boy touches the medallion. Dozens of guards swarm in and Billy tells his friends to go. They try to, but one of them trips on a string trap. A heavy rock comes down to block their way out. Billy gets knocked out and put in a cell. The king's new advisor is a much shadier one. He tells him to defeat the boy with mind games instead of brute force. So King Cobra does his best to play good cop with the kid, but his impatience starts to show during dinner and he resorts to classic braggery. He says they can share the unlimited power from the stone if Billy agrees to operate the medallion. Cobra fails to see that no kind heart could ever agree with this kind of partnership. A few hours later, Billy escapes from his cell and meets Allie in the dungeons. She and the others have been captured and are being forced to work. Together, they orchestrate Faliaka's original plan. Allie teaches the other women to blow up a pineapple while Andui makes a sleeping potion and Hoku serves it to the guards. At night, Cobra's big victory celebration is ruined by explosive fruit. All the slaves crash the party, and the stone falls off the medallion again. Cobra takes the empty medallion, but he sees that Billy has the stone. So again, he tries to trade Allie for what he needs, but this time Billy fights him instead. King Cobra ends up falling into his own pit, taking the medallion with him. The villagers turn the feast into a celebration of Cobra's defeat. But now the kids are stranded in the past, and they miss home. If only there was an empty medallion buried exactly at the same spot. Wait a minute. Of course there is. When Billy and Allie arrived from the future, King Kili was dead. So the medallion has to be already in the same place where Billy finds it, 200 years in the future. So they dig it up and sure enough, the magic stone flies right to its center. Billy gives the medallion to Huko, promising to leave it in the same place one day. King Huko wishes the two friends back to where they belong. And this is the end. This was a recap of the 2013 movie The Lost Medallion. The Adventures of Billy Stone by Chaos Entertainment, starring Billy Unger and Sammy Hanratty. So, what do you think of this ending? What would happen if Huko hadn't left the medallion where he promised? Let us know in the comments below with #CinemaRecap. Until next time.